So one of the comments I consistently hear about the Canon EF-M 15-45 kit lens is that it sucks. And it got me wondering, how bad is it? And if we did a blind test between the 15-45 kit lens and some of the other lenses in the EF-M lineup that nobody complains about, would you really be able to tell the difference? So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to give you a series of shots with a series of different lenses, and we're going to see if you can tell the difference between the kit lens and some of the more favored lenses in the EF-M system. And to keep things completely consistent, I'm keeping all of the settings in the camera the same. The only thing I'm changing are the lenses and the weather conditions. So I'm keeping all the settings in the camera the same. I'm just swapping the lenses, and I will be testing a couple of prime lenses against the EF-M 15-45. And I know that's sort of not a fair comparison, but I would have thought if the kit lens can come anywhere near a couple of these favored primes, then it must not be so bad. The other lens I'm going to be testing it against is the 18-55 original kit lens that came with the EOS M, and I think it was around maybe up until about the time of the M3 when they changed to the 15-45 all plastic kit lens. I think often the kit lens gets a bad rap because of its build quality and its plastic mount. I think one of the big complaints is that it's not sharp, but how soft is it really? And even if the kit lens is soft, the question is, how important is image sharpness? And is there a difference between image sharpness used in video and used in photo? And I think there is. And I also think that image sharpness is not necessarily the most important thing about a lens. When I think about the important things when I'm selecting a lens, the number one important thing is definitely the focal range. Because if that lens doesn't give me the versatility to get the shot I need within its focal range, the fact that the image is going to be sharp is almost completely pointless. The second thing that I think is really important is autofocus ability. How good is the autofocus and how well does the camera's autofocus system work with the lens? Because if the lens isn't nailing focus, whether it's too slow or it just misses focus, it doesn't matter how sharp the lens is. A missed focus soft image is always going to be soft, regardless of the quality of the lens. And certainly just looking in the monitor now, and I know the screen on the camera is quite small, so who knows? And often if you've ever taken photos and they look great on the screen, they look great in the review, and then you get them home and they're not as good as you thought they were. But certainly in these series of shots, as I swap between lenses, I'm really struggling to tell the difference between any of the shots. Now, keep in mind I have stopped it down a bit, that way all the lenses can achieve the same aperture, so we're shooting at an f4 aperture. But having said that, an f4 isn't that small, and I would have thought if this lens is soft and if this lens is so horrible, then I would have thought it would be horrible at f4 as well as the other different aperture values. Now here comes that wind again. Now the lenses I'm using for this comparison are obviously the 15-45 kit lens. I have got the 18-55 original kit lens, the EF-M original kit lens. I've got the 22mm f2 lens, and I've got the 32mm f1.4 lens. And I'm shooting all of them at f4 just to keep it consistent. I've set the white balance manually, so that's locked in. I've set the ISO and shutter speed manually, so there is nothing that's changing on the camera. What is this bird doing here? There's nothing that's changing in the camera. Strictly, I'm changing lenses and going back and forth. This is the most bizarre thing. I don't know why this bird has just come here and decided to scream at me. So yeah, each time all I'm doing is changing the lenses, and I'm changing the focal value, focal length. Yeah, that's it. I'm changing the focal length each time to just match the prime lens or the 18-55 or whatever I've been using on the last shot. So yeah, I'm keen to get this home and see what it looks like. My suspicion is that there won't be a whole lot of difference. And I suspect I might have to eat some humble pie here because I have been a very outspoken critic of this kit lens. And I think one of the main reasons is because it's taking up the 15 to 45 focal length, which actually happens to be the best and most usable universal focal length on APS-C for a zoom lens. It means that Canon hasn't developed a higher end lens to also fill that segment. And that's been kind of frustrating to me, that the most useful focal range lens for all the EF-M cameras is one that has a plastic mount and just feels so cheap and lightweight and isn't very fast as far as the aperture value goes. So yeah, so there's been a bit of frustration there. But when you look at what they charge, when you buy the kit, you only pay an extra $100 for the lens. If you want to buy them used, you can pick them up on eBay for 60 or 80 bucks, sometimes even less. So if you actually look at what you're getting for the money with this lens, it represents quite a good value. And I think anybody who owns an EF-M or EOS-M camera really should own this lens. All right, so that was the video test. Could you tell the difference between any of the shots? About 50% of the shots were done with the kit lens, and then the other, well, exactly 50% of the shots were done with the kit lens, and the other 50% of the shots were done with one of the two primes or the other original EF-M 18 to 55 kit lens. So yes, was there one consistent view that you thought, yeah, that is not a great image? And you know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wait until I get back. I'm gonna review these on the computer, and then I'm gonna give you my opinion to wrap this up instead of just sort of leave it open-ended for you to say anything. But they may actually look different on the computer where I can see them before the YouTube compression happens. So there may be a difference even between viewing them in the two different ways there. So I'm back in the studio now. I have just seen all the footage that you have seen, and honestly, I have to say, I have to eat some humble pie. We were just trying to decide whether this lens sucked, and not only do I not think it sucks, I actually think it's pretty good. And first I've got to give just a quick story about my opinion and why I previously thought it sucked. And that's because my very first copy of this lens I bought used. I was not happy with the images I was getting from it, and I took out my 18 to 55 against the 15 to 45 and did side-by-side shots and found that my 15 to 45 just wasn't as sharp. It just was not giving me nearly the level of detail in the photographs I was taking. And that formed my opinion, and I've sort of run with that opinion ever since. But because I buy and sell a lot of camera gear, including a lot of these EOS-M model cameras, I have in my possession at any one time a few of these 15 to 45 kit lenses. And at the moment, I actually have 3 of them. And the one on the camera now is the one that's my own personal copy currently and I normally use. And yeah, I just assumed it was as bad as the other one. But from all that video, you could see that it clearly wasn't. And it was pretty good. And in a lot of, I mean, I couldn't really tell the difference between it and the prime lenses. And that is on my big monitor before all the YouTube compression. So I've changed my opinion. This is quite a good lens. I think there is potentially some variations in copies, and you want to make sure that you have got a sharp one. Does this lens suck? No, absolutely not. Now, to wrap up the video, I have got a series of tests testing the 18 to 55 versus the 15 to 45 because I think these are the two do-it-all, all-purpose mid-range zoom lenses that you would be deciding between.
And I knew from the first time I met you, I knew that heart is never light. Felt like the sun king in Versailles, and I fell from the first time I met you, baby. like a night sky in July. 'Cause you never leave me dry. You, baby, share new light all my life. And I knew, told me your name, girl, was going to ride it on the road and shout it down till Montreal. Yeah, I knew well. You told me your name, baby. Things we will never be the same. 'Cause you never leave me dry. You, baby, shine new light all my life. Cause you never leave me dry. You, baby, shine new light all my life.